Alright guys, there's the problem. Stop the video and try to do that one on your own. And then start the video again. And this problem is, again, I have to find my axis of symmetry. We always find that first. And that is by finding x equals a negative b over 2a. That is just the formula for the axis of symmetry. Now to find the axis of symmetry for this problem, so if I asked you what's the axis of symmetry for the problem, you have to say it's a negative 2 all over 2 times 1, which is equal to a negative 1. So the axis of symmetry for this problem is x equals a negative 1. A lot of people will say that's the axis of symmetry. No, that's just the formula for the axis of symmetry. Once I get that, I know that, I'll put it over here, I know that my vertex is going to have an x-coordinate of a negative 1. So let me draw this here. Remember, you are always using graph paper. Always. What do I want to say next? Okay, now I need to find that y-coordinate, plug that into the formula, the equation, so y is equal, always put it in parentheses. Negative 1 squared plus 2 times the negative 1 minus 1. Remember, the exponent goes with whatever it's closest to. In this case, it's the parentheses. Everything gets that exponent. So a negative squared is a positive. 1 squared is 1. Positive times a negative is a negative 2 minus 1. So that's is equal to negative 1 minus 1 is a negative 2. So my vertex is at negative 1 comma negative 2. So I come over here negative 1. And I come down here a negative 2. My axis of symmetry goes through negative 1. It always goes through the vertex. My axis of symmetry is x equals a negative 1. The axis of symmetry and the x-coordinate are always the same. Now then, from here, since I do not have a multiplier, all I have to do, remember these guys are now gone. That negative 1 is going to be my y-intercept, or it should be the y-intercept. So let's see here, negative 1, negative 2, that's where my vertex ought to be. Alright, so when x is 1, y is 1, because I do not have a multiplier. When x is over 1, 2, y is going to be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. So that's all I need. I need to come over 1 this way, and I need to come over 2 this way, so that now I have my parabola. Notice the y-intercept, we said it should be a negative 1, and there it is at a negative 1. My vertex should be a minimum. This guy is a minimum because it opens upward. Now then, if the question asks you, find the minimum or find the maximum, they're not asking you to graph the whole thing, but in order to find the minimum or the maximum, you have to find the vertex. You have to go all the way through that, because remember, just now it was a negative 1, negative 2. That's where my vertex was. That was the minimum. So in some problems, they're going to ask you, just find the minimum or the maximum, but you have to go through all this work in order to do that, because you have to find the vertex. All right, how many of you got that? Woohoo! Good. We'll go with the next example in a second.